very word secrecy is repugnant in a free and open society.
You're in violation of secure communication procedures, Commodore.
So we just went ahead and fixed the glitch.
There is no America. There is no democracy.
Our fifth objective, a new world order.
There are no nations. There are no peoples. There are no Russians. There are no Arabs. There are no third worlds. There is no West.
Right-wing conspiracy.
What do you call it when the assassins accuse the assassin?
A new world order.
Thank you for plugging in to the Stones Unturned podcast.
Well, just a second there, Professor. We fixed the glitch.
I'm your host, Professor Thomas Henry Horan.
He reads everything.
Hello there, you magnificent betards. You better bet your bippies. He reads everything. What I need to do is catch up on comments. A lot of comments out there. Let's start with that. And then I will go members only in about 20 minutes. Okay, so I took a break for a few months to work on a project that is going to lead to wonderful dividends for all of us. I will attempt to take the existing PowerPoint presentations I have, which add up to, AI estimates I have about 25,000 slides, and you see what I call a PowerPoint slide, right? You will see some more tonight. Those will, so I learned how to build full stack web apps, start to finish. And I'm building many. This one, an AI will help me turn these improve these presentations. They're rough drafts, 25,000 rough draft slides. So I think I figured out how I'm going to fix those and how I'm going to arrange this database. It's all about how you design the database. And I haven't done this for a few decades, so I took some classes. I built something else that's really fucking cool too. But you aren't ready to see it. I'll show you real soon. I got to do some more. I got to pretty it up and make the how-to videos and things. That'll be available to the public next year in various parts. I got to see about insurance requirements. Because of AI, nobody knows what's going to happen. Nobody knows what the liabilities are. So in the meantime, what I'm going to do is take in the new ones that I'm making and turn them into kind of like ebooks. So on my website, because I got the tools, I can take a PowerPoint presentation, which I can store for free on my free Outlook accounts. But I can display them on my website. This is not like a WordPress site. Like, I finally learned how to do this shit. It wasn't as hard as I thought. But I didn't even know what a full stack web app was. So that helped. I learned from scratch. So the point is, and I'm also going to be able to build my own classes, and then subscribers next year you'll be able to create your own classes and teach whatever you want to teach. And I have all kinds of custom designed AI tools. I've been working on this for 50 years. So, or tutoring or whatever. I can put my own classes on there. I can teach classes on handwriting analysis and identification. I can teach classes in creative writing. I can teach classes in how to use AI on my own platform. But what I can also do, now that I have it, or I can build a separate one, it's easy to do now if you know how, is build it so that these PowerPoints become, like, you'll go to my website and you'll pick John Bonet, and you'll pick episodes kind of John Bonet. And as you flip through, you'll be able to download PDFs and print them out, book versions. But I can always go on and update them. They'll be updated. And what I'm going to do is just charge, I can just charge a lifetime subscription. Like, I'll probably charge per topic. Like John Bonet, $50 lifetime subscription. Zodiac, $50 lifetime subscription. I've got an email list. There's about 50 or 60 of you that will be getting a promo code for like $50 whole site lifetime subscription. And then these little PowerPoints can have little embedded video clips, or I can have my audio narration if I want. I will not have my face on these. These are going to be, and then what you do is, when you print them out, it'll print out a PDF. So the top half is the slide that you saw, and the bottom half has either text and or it'll have the sources and the link, you know what I'm saying, the references. Or if you look at the if you download the PDF, it'll have the links will be clickable for as long as the links are good. And these will be dynamic. And then if I have to reference another episode, the links, it'll do that. That's easy to do. It'll go to that slide in that presentation. When I get that ready to start building that, but first I have to I have to really go through and do testing. I have to really design a very good database for how I'm going to handle all this data. I think I'm going to do it by person of interest. We'll see how that goes. Then it's going to start, I can start creating animations like how this blob spreads through time, how this blob spreads through an industry, how this blob connects through certain serial killer cases. That's going to take a few years. In the meantime, all episodes that are viewable by the public will be on this YouTube channel. And those will be members only, or I'm doing I do some free episodes. I do free episodes. And that's it. For live streaming, YouTube is it. For streaming video, any streaming video, YouTube is it. A full stack web app, you're watching one now. But what you're watching is a full stack web app that does streaming video, which is what Google is not good at. Amazon is good at that. So a full stack web app would be like that canvas that just got taken down. A full stack web app has JavaScript or whatever you want to call it on the front end, that the user interface, where the buttons are, where the text windows are. If that's integrated with a relational database that has its own functional software, the software called functions running on top, if that interfaces with, so most websites are a lot of little applets that you load in a web page or load in a page on your phone. And these little applets are all connected to each other through a database. But this database is not just like a hard drive. It's a structured database, and data gets stored in a certain way and retrieved in a certain way. And certain functions are performed on the data before they even get to the front end. So that's called a full stack. Some simple web apps don't need a database. Sophisticated programs need a database. But the technology has evolved in taking simple JavaScript apps, web apps, and integrating those with full databases. And you got to know the difference between Google, Amazon, Cloudflare, and YouTube. YouTube has a completely separate cloud database architecture because it's streaming video, which Google never got. YouTube is the best YouTube, but that's all it is. And it's a bag that hangs on the side of Google. So, okay, it will be hyperlinked, yes. You can do that automatically with PowerPoint presentations. I haven't been doing that for various reasons. I didn't know if I wanted to use PowerPoint. So then what can happen is these will be dynamic slideshows you go through at your own pace on the website, and then you can either click and jump to another presentation that it takes you to, or it'll have the links that'll take you to the website or a YouTube video, okay? And you can download it as a PDF, and you can print it out as a book if you want. But that's going to take a few years. I've got all the rough drafts done. I need to go through. I have to get what AI is going to help me with is tagging every slide with the right metadata. But see, it's a circle. It's a bootstrap. You got to figure out what data you need in your database and how the data is going to relate to other data in the database. And you don't really know that till you start accumulating data and analyzing the data. Well, AI helps you do that shit. It helps you accumulate the data, helps you analyze the data. And one of the first things you learn in my handwriting analysis class is the difference between analysis and conclusion or theorizing. AI is really good at analyzing data. It's really good at doing mundane tasks like adding metadata to every slide in this presentation. But I got to know what the metadata is. And I got to get that figured out before you go very far building your database. And if you're going to use a database, if you're programming a database for AI, for future applications of AI, that's what I've been learning too. And listen, don't pay 1 penny for these kind of courses. You can learn everything you need to. Well, I knew something about this stuff, but you can go to IBM Skills Build and get all kinds of, and these are very high quality certifications that go in your LinkedIn. You can go to Amazon. They teach you, if nothing else, like Amazon will teach you how to use AWS services and everything you need to know about developing, at least being a project director for a full stack web app, that kind of thing. Now, I don't do Amazon because I'm not going to do streaming video because that's really expensive. And it's complex. One thing Google's really good at, and I'm going to show you how they got good at it, is they have a lean and mean database, underlying fundamental database architecture. So that's what's happening with the future of the show. All live streamed episodes, all streaming videos will be on this YouTube channel from now on. And that's $9.99 a month for members only, which I will go to soon. First, I will answer not just comments here. Hi, Toad. Hi, Gary. Hi, Baby Bull. Now, I know Medley has been leaving comments, but she has not been chatting. I don't know if she's present. I don't care. I do care. I don't care more than she does. Maybe she doesn't want people to know, so I will. So here's what we're going to do. Let me read some comments. Go to community. Guthrie, yeah. Wouldn't it make more sense? Oh, well, you know what? We have a member named Guth. Is that short for Guthrie? Or Guthrie? Medley says Annie Guthrie's husband owned most of the labs of the missing dead scientists and they were failing the cleanliness inspections. Could you elaborate on that for us, please? I have heard that as well. Because this family has been getting money from somewhere. Maybe it's not billions of dollars, but they've been getting money. If you look, Annie is a flake. She doesn't make any money. I guarantee you that. Her husband is a AP science teacher at a top-rated magnet school. What's he pulling down? $80,000 a year plus benefits? That's it. They live in a nice neighborhood in Tucson as well. That's $100,000 a year isn't worth salt for peanuts these days. The old lady living in her house. These are not fabulously rich people. They don't split, Yeah, supposedly Savannah makes a lot of money, but you know how much money it costs to make money? So there's money coming in from somewhere. And the brother, he's a retired pilot, Air Force intelligence, just, regular military intelligence, nothing spooky necessarily. But he was Vermont National Guard, and he's retired, doesn't have a job. He's been retired since 2018, doesn't have a job. At best, his pension's $80,000. At best. As lieutenant colonel, at best, his pension is $80,000, and that's not gonna. You got to pay for Medicare. You got to pay for a lot of stuff. Where's the money coming from? Maybe it's just a few thousand a month for each kid, but there's money coming from somewhere. Big house for an 84-year-old with a pacemaker, says Alpine. It's probably not quite as big as it looks, but it's big enough. There's a swimming pool. Who uses the pool? Because that pool is well maintained. That pool isn't closed. That pool was open all year round. That pool was open on Groundhog Day. Oh, and there are more photos and videos than, or supposedly. Alar, trying to figure out how an Amazon parcel proves the speed at which an alleged abduction took place. It doesn't. The Amazon parcel shows that the police had not been monitoring the property. Because by the time the TV crew got there was nobody watching the property, and all the police crime scene tape had been taken down. And this was like February 3rd or 4th. When that TV crew went there. And there's an Amazon package on the porch. So nobody's been watching the house. Where's the old lady now, Nathan? Is she in the guest house? Where did all the other missing UFO people go? Charles Hester, J.R. Sweet, non-fringe Mormon, says that he was MKSRA'd underneath Disney World, was at satanic ceremony underneath Mount Shasta, and was hunted with the Hilton girls. Nikki is married to a Rothschild. Well, Charles, your telegraphic style is impressive. Could you please elaborate? J.R. Sweet, non-French Mormon, says he was an MKSRA'd. I guess I could... It wouldn't kill me to like these comments, any of them. Christina Darling. Hi, Professor Dad. Hi, Sweetie Darling. Here there was a really old YouTube channel by a guy who knew about that fraud with Manson. He pointed out the wig Susan, or whomever was wearing during that infamous interview. I can't find his channel anymore, but here's a couple of other notes. Susan Atkins has her own YouTube channel that has been up for a while now. Links, people, links. Susan Atkins has a YouTube channel. If Charles Manson were alive today, if there had been YouTube in 1969, Charles Manson would have owned the internet. He's magnetic. The rest of them, yeah, okay, let's see here. Susan Atkins. Oh, she died, supposedly, right? 2009. She did not age well. Okay, anyway, what else? The other note is somehow the Rose West murders. Now, that's Rose West and Fred West. It's really interesting you brought that up, Sweetie Darling, because Rose and Fred West. This was more Rose than Fred. Fred was kind of a dupe. I'm not saying he didn't participate. I'm saying this was Rose. Some of the most horrifying shit that has ever been done to a living human being. You can include Nazis, you can include Aztecs, you can include Stasi, you can include anybody you want. But some of the most unbelievably horrifying things that were done to torture human beings were done by Rose West. To both men, women, girls, and boys. It's almost unbelievable. And he was a retard that she used. And here's the thing. We know they made audio recordings, right? She'd had electroshock treatments. Rose was 15, Fred was 27. Yeah. Yeah. It's really horrifying. Like, really horrifying. But it's interesting. Okay, what are the dates? Is this supposedly ties in with Manson? See, we know, for example, that the head of children's education for the Manson family, what was his name, the Scientologist who went to England? Didn't always wear a shirt. Reminds you of Randy. He really reminds you of Randy on Trailer Park Boys. What was his name? He went to the Scientology thing in London. Rose West Scientology. Yeah, it was more her than him. I just bring that up because women get underestimated. Rose West Manson. If there's a crazy conspiracy theory, it'll be out there. Rose West Manson family. No crazy conspiracy theories? Linking Rose and Fred West to Manson family. What was that guy's name? You guys know who I'm talking about. Mount Shasta is way bigger than you think. Mount Shasta is way bigger than you think, and you will see very soon. Very, very soon. That's why I like more information about Annie and her kookery, because she talks about being communicating with oracles, and that sounds exactly like Ellen G. White. Back Porch Tapes. Bruce Davis. Okay. Crazy conspiracy theories. Let me do this. Shit. No, let me do this. Jesus. Okay. Any crazy conspiracy theories linking Rose and Fred West. Rose and Fred West to Bruce Davis or the Manson family. Because in that Manson 1973 documentary, there's a clip where you look in the background and you can see Clem Grogan molesting that little girl. doing it for the camera. He's in the background doing it. The core of the conspiracy is based on the movements of Bruce Davis, often called Charles Manson's right-hand man. You know, Bruce Davis looked like, he always did wear a shirt. He always wore a shirt. Albert Speer. Not Albert Speer. Wolfie Schicklgruber's right-hand man. I will remember this one. Rudolf Hess. Rudolf Hess. Pictures of Rudolf Hess. And as you may or may not recall, he was tortured by the same memory doctor that trained Dr. Donald Evan Cameron, who treated Robert Goddard, the rocket scientist, after he showed his inertial guidance system to Charles Lindbergh, right before Charles Lindbergh got on a plane and flew to Germany and showed it to Werner von Braun. I showed you that in the previous episode. This guy was worked over by that guy, the mentor to Dr. Cameron, who I think is related to Marjorie Cameron Parsons. I could be wrong about that. Bruce Davis. Bruce Davis Manson family. I'm going to say ouch for Rudolf Hess. What do you think? I don't think it's that far-fetched. I don't think it's that far-fetched. I don't think it's that far-fetched, do you? Oh, shrink this window. Tell me it's far-fetched. I don't think it is. Let me zoom in so you can see this. But he was placed in charge of educating the children. So let's get back to this crazy conspiracy theory. Between late 68 and early 69, while Manson was staying at the beach house, and right before they moved to the Yellow Submarine house from the beach house, when Manson went through his death and rebirth experience, supposedly, his whole Isis-Osiris resurrection, like literally, well, not literally, but they supposedly literally. It's insane. At Mark Rosen's beach house. It's important. Because his family apparently owned the Yellow Submarine house. And that may have either been the house, or it was like on the same block as the house where Frank Sinatra Jr. was released after his phony kidnapping. Completely phony kidnapping. And what's interesting about that is Frank Sinatra Jr. was high school classmates with Mark Rosen or Mark Ross or Aesop Aquarian or whatever the fuck he wants to be called. His family were in the department store business right across the street from I. Magnin. My point is this. He went to that exact same school. It was a special school for rich, disturbed children up in the San Bernardino Hills. Can't remember the name of that school. I think same grade even. London Link. But, okay, so that's the period of time from 68 to January 68. I'm sorry, Christmas, New Year's 68, 69. What else happened? Manson moves to L.A. Then he moves out to the Yellow Submarine House. Something else happened right then. That's right about the time that John Carr was TDY'd to Bangkok. Or he'd been there for a while. No, he was there 6 years. He was TDY'd early 69, something like that. It's right about that same time. And they move out to the Spahn Ranch, where Clem was already living. Clem's the one who said we should move to the Spahn Ranch from the Yellow Submarine House. During the same period, 68-69, Fred and Rose West were active in Gloucester and the surrounding areas. The theory suggests that Davis, while moving through the counterculture and occult scenes in England, may have crossed paths with Fred West. What about Fred West and occultists? What about that? Isn't this exciting? Can you imagine what you get when you pay the $10? Long been a persistent, though unproven, rumor that Fred and Rose West were not acting alone, but were part of a satanic coven or an underground occult group in Gloucester. Theorists point to the ritualistic nature of the crime, specifically the price dismemberment of victims and the trophies kept as evidence of ritual sacrifice. They found no evidence of occult literature or anything. A more fringe version of this theory connects the West to the legacy of Aleister Crowley. Read the book, Secret Agent 666. It's one of those books where I try to take notes and the notes get longer than the book. It's just packed. It's packed. The guy who wrote that, he's a very respected historian of spying, of history of espionage. And he said, I had to write this book because after all these years of research and all these things, he said, I kept tripping over the same name over and over and over again. Aleister Crowley, Aleister Crowley, Aleister Crowley. So he wrote a whole book based on that. And it's just, every page is crammed. Crowley was, apparently the plan was that maybe Crowley would be the Rasputin before Rasputin. And when that deal fell through, when he started making friends with the royal the Tsar's family, and that fell through somehow, and then the next day Rasputin shows up pulling the same shit. Like, it's really fascinating. It's his connection to Whitaker, and oh my God, you got to read it. Secret Agent 666. And see, occultists are used to using codes and ciphers, and they know about secret societies and how to keep it a secret and how to trust people and who not to trust. Okay, so there's nothing there. If you have more information, please pass it along. Annie makes jewelry. Oh, yeah. The next door neighbor to Nancy's a gemologist? Oh, that's really interesting. Oh my God, baby bull. You may be in line for a pumpkin sticker, because I've got that. Wait till I get to the next slide. An old singles ad with Rose West? Yeah. Hess flew to England for something during the war. Goddamn right, baby bull. See, the problem is you know nothing about the real Wolfie Schicklgruber. You only know the myth of Wolfie Schicklgruber. Weren't they hanging with the solar temple? I don't know. Are you talking about Solar Lodge. Davis allegedly killed Joel Pugh in London, Sandra Good's husband. I believe it. You got pumpkin sticker once? Well, you can always get more. House of Aesop Aquarian, that is correct. Now, wait, what did I see? We'll get to the gems in a second. Oh, I know what I'm looking at the wrong comments. Let's see. Well, not the wrong comments. The guy who married Zena LeVay did an interview 5 years ago and talked about when his ear got cut off. While in the hospital, he was asked if he wanted medical financial assistance under the Doris Tate program. Okay, go on. I don't know what else to say. I have run into a dead end. Try to figuring out how Amazon parcel. We have a hoax. Where's the old lady now? J.R. Sweet. J.R. Sweet. Mormon. TBMC survivor. Mormon monarch, born into a deep state. Tell me about J.R. Sweet, the Mormon. Dun, 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 dun. Let's try this. No. This one. New chat. Who? J.R. Sweet. Sweet claims to be a survivor of CIA trauma-based mind control program. Now, that is exactly what Bruce Duncan Perry publishes research in to this day. He stuck his nose into West Memphis 3, for example. That's very interesting. Because there is this cult. It doesn't go by one name. And there's this weird Venn diagram. See, I need AI to help me with this. You need a 3D Venn diagram. See, there are Venn diagrams where the two things overlap, so it's almost the same thing. Then there are Venn diagrams where they only touch at one point. They share a boundary point. Then there are Venn diagrams like the Mandelbrot set, where every point that touches a boundary point touches all 4 boundary points. Then you get this one, which is very specific. It's this cult that it has branches in Mormonism, Reformed Presbyterianism, Reformed Anglicanism, Seventh-day Adventism. Did I mention Mormons? And, of course, Space Mormons, Scientologists. It goes right straight through the I Am movement and Christian Science, It is, of course, all over the Golden Dawn, and it's all of this stuff, and it all comes from exactly one place. It comes from one source I will talk about very soon. One place, and it all through all of those. And it's all this stuff about sexualizing children and about sacrificing elites, offering their children for sacrifice. This is completely believable because the FLDS and these other fringe Mormon groups, like the one that he claims he was raised in, there are crazy groups exactly like that. And there's one that is directly connected, I think, to both Columbine and John Benet, and Mount Shasta, and Sam Walton, and Sam Carr, and Arliss Perry, and Sherry Jo Bates. And I'm not kidding. It's that specific. And the funny thing is, these things overlap in 100 ways anyway, but there is one golden thread. If you want to call it golden, what should we call it? There's one bloody thread of Satan's goat hair yarn running through the whole thing. And it's all about the money. And it goes back to 12,000 BC. It goes back to 10,000 BC. It goes back to 6,000 BC. It goes back to 4,000 BC. It goes back to the Iron Age. It goes back to it goes back to the Dark Age. It goes back to the Middle Ages. It goes back to the Renaissance. It goes back to the Industrial Revolution. It goes back to the 20th century. It goes back to 7 o'clock this morning. It's Rex Hoyerman. It's Ed Kemper, it's Mullins, it's Zodiac, it is Son of Sam, it is, I don't know about Jack the Ripper. There was no Jack the Ripper. Lindbergh baby the phony kidnapping of the Lindbergh baby. All of it. All of it. It goes back to Charles Lindbergh. You will see. Get plugged in. $9.99 a month. I will go into this stuff in just a moment. Maybe I better get on here. Lived at the Spiral. I don't know if they live there. Because there are two spiral staircase houses. The real spiral staircase house is the one, it was a spiral staircase that was used in some oil field equipment, and somebody built a house around it. Not around it, but they built a house. Like the spiral staircase is like takes up where half of the porch. It's a giant iron spiral staircase that was in some oil field thing. Then there's an album where somebody shot an album cover on this spiral staircase in the inside of a house. Woot in the abundance of our times. Hi, 47. They hung around a lot of places. They had the bus, and they would park the bus like an RV. It was a party bus. So like Harold True's house, where he was entertaining these mobsters. Charlie said that was his real line of business, was putting together parties and transporting hot cars full of hot coke and hot broads to parties. That was his main job, putting together poker parties and things for underworld figures. He said when he was out of prison the first time, he was working for the mafia in California. That would be Marcello's mob going way back. That would be the mob that the La Biancas were in. Especially Lino's mother. Speaking of women. Okay, let me do this. Let's go members only. 10 minutes. We'll finish up with some of these comments. Well, we won't finish up. We'll give up. A lot of strands in old Duder's head. Hi, 88. Is the podcast done with? Okay, that's 7 months ago. Okay, are we caught up? Now what? Visigoths and Vandals sounds like a cool 60s band. And yes, channel, you need to stay with this YouTube channel. Yes, Johnny Rotten. No solar panels on the house? That's a good question. That's a good question, Goose. Jesus couldn't be a rabbi without being married. Right, there's a lot of that stuff, Midley. But see, I think it's a pro forma marriage, just like Abraham, just like all those pharaohs who married Sarai. Any footprints in the blood drops? Nope. If you've been paying attention, no. Goose. Carrying her over the shoulder. No, I've already. No. No. Watch the videos, people. Watch the videos. I've already figured out. The thing is, you don't need an intruder to explain the blood. You need an intruder to explain the video of the guy tiptoeing around the blood. Okay, have I caught up on comments? That's good. What happened in the news today? Did anything happen? Yes. No. Let's see. Nancy Guthrie. Now we're going to get back into this and how this, when we go members only, it's going to immediately tie into Virginia Guifre, Maria Farmer, you name it. No, Nancy Guthrie, just news today. It's news today. Nancy Guthrie news today. Khloe Kardashian questions why Nancy Guthrie is still missing. And Battle Arizona sheriff survives vote to oust him. See, he's getting blamed. This is the pattern that we see. Oh, the police departments weren't cooperating. It was local police department incompetence. Blah, 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 blah. I've said it before, and I will show you again in a few minutes when we go members only. There is no evidence that a crime was committed. There is no evidence that a crime was committed. And the only person who's suggesting something funny happened is the last person, actually the first and only known suspect at this time. Viral images fuel fresh debate. Oh, there she is. She's literally right here. Who asked where she was? Was it Goose? Here's your pumpkin sticker, buddy. Here she is. Here she is. How this ties to North Fox Island, which takes us right straight to the Clintons, but you need to be plugged in. Here she is. She's not missing. She's staying in the guest house. Can you see that? Google Earth imagery from November 2025. It's around 200 meters from Nancy's residence. I bet that is her. See, maybe she was on some good pain or anti-inflammatory medication. You got to watch out because as a pacemaker patient, I know she was on heparin. But a lot of people are saying she could barely get around because of her back. My question is, where's the ransom note? If this was a kidnapping, where's the ransom note? And why would he go to all the trouble of dragging an 84-year-old woman who's coughing up blood? Why didn't he just flee the scene? Why drag her along? What's he going to get out of dragging an 84-year-old woman who's coughing up blood and can't hardly get around without a walker? She'll die within 24 hours without her meds, and her meds were left behind, supposedly. See, it's just exactly like these other phony disappearances. Her phone, her wallet, and her keys were left on the kitchen table. No note, just those three things. All these other phony disappearances in the area, it's exactly the same thing. It's fake, it's phony. Is that the only news today? Yeah, I'll bet that's her. It looks like her. There's nobody else. Oh, a couple of corrections before we get cut off. Number one, there was a claim on February 3rd that there were signs of forced entry at the back door. But the motion-sensitive cameras didn't take any pictures, which is funny because they retrieved pictures from before the disappearance and they retrieved pictures from after the disappearance of law enforcement people moving around the backyard. And the source of that story I will talk about in just a few minutes. But the big correction is, not a correction. Yeah, correction. There were pictures from the surveillance cameras in the backyard, not full motion video. They weren't Nest cameras, but they were motion triggered. So if the killer popped open the back door, why aren't there any pictures? And this is where the idea of the jammer comes in. Okay? This is the idea where supposedly there was a jammer. Did you see the CIA stole MKUltra and JFK files from Tulsi Gabbard's office? Baby Bull, you might get a pumpkin sticker for that because you know who was married to Tulsi Gabbard? A murder's like a hot date. It takes all night. I didn't say that. My mentor said that. One of my mentors. Savannah's cousin said his kids used to play a game of kidnapping. Where is she now? In hiding? I just hopped on the stream. Here she is. You see? There she is. This is from November 2025 of a Google Street View camera. We think that's her. But she could obviously walk around. If that's her, she could walk around the neighborhood sometimes. Sometimes she couldn't drag her ass out of bed from the pain in her back. I guess it was her back and her hip or something. She had a pacemaker. Tulsi was or is in a cult. Details. I don't want to lose, for my own reference, let me keep track of these. You don't know? Well, isn't she the wife of Senator Mark Kelly, close friend of Savannah Guthrie? Mark Kelly's close friends with her brother. They're both pilots. Mark Kelly and Savannah Guthrie are close friends, and Tulsi's his wife, right?